Hello and welcome to another coding session. How about that? But you didn't expect that shit to happen. Hello everyone, hello ThatGamer115, Deep Singulator, Gooduk, Deepsy, hello. So today we continue developing our text editor that we started 2 days ago. I think this is the third day of developing this text editor. You can find the link here in the chat or in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put it in the description. So in the previous episode, which you can also find in the description, it's not out yet, but it's going to be soon, like I think in 2 hours roughly since the recording. So in the previous episode we actually made the text editor look and feel like a text editor, so that was actually kind of impressive. So if you take a look, so this is how it looks like. You can even write a hello world in it, right? So you can do this kind of stuff. I don't think we need this kind of thing. So this is going to be main, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, return 0. Might as well actually put printf hello world, new line, and there we go. So, and then I think you can even save that, but it's a debug save, it's not a real save, right? Because we don't have a save subsystem yet. So yeah, that's basically what we have right now, and today we're going to continue developing this thing. So by the way, I still didn't come up with a good name for this text editor, so feel free to leave your suggestions about the name of the text editor in this issue, or in the chat, or in the comments, or like somewhere. So yeah, we still just call it TE, which stands for text editor, and so far this seems to be pretty good name, I suppose. If we don't come up with anything better, I think we're going to keep calling it TE. So today we're going to probably work on the saving loading subsystem, right? So we can already edit text inside of the memory, but we need to be able to conveniently save that stuff into the file system and load it from the file system. So when I open the text editor, right, so there's no a single file associated with the text editor. So that means when I try to save it for the first time, it should ask the name of the file that I want to save, right? So, and we can even reuse some of the editing code to actually ask the user for the file to save. And that's precisely what I want to do today. That's precisely what I want to do today. Hello, the RWX Cafe, John D. Eretta, Hamikovi, hello, Parademi, welcome. How are you guys doing? So, yeah, today we're just gonna continue developing this thing. So I have my team, and yeah, cheers, by the way. Unfortunately, right now the text editor supports only one font, so this is a hard-coded font. You're not allowed to choose anything else. So that's, if you don't like that, I'm sorry, you have to use a different text editor. But we're gonna add support for more different fonts in the future. So this is more of like a debug font. Josh Batch subscribed with Twitch Prime, your first subscription, by the way. Thank you so much for Twitch Prime subscription, and welcome to our Epic Text Editor Club. That's right. Alright, so let me see what's going to be the first thing I want to actually do in here. Maybe I want to implement something super simple, essentially accept the file path via the command line argument, if you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's create a separate branch. It's going to be called load CLI. Right, so this is a load CLI, and if argc is greater than 1, right, that means something was provided, right? And I suppose we want to have some sort of like a usage function. Right, this is going to be usage, and you'll be able to write the usage somewhere in here. File string fprintf stream usage te. And this is going to be like an optional file path, right? So this is optional file path. So far, so good. Okay, I don't think we need anything else right now. So if this thing is greater, right? This one is rather interesting. So I have to do something like argv. So maybe we need to keep track of the current file path, right? So file path, this is going to be null, right? And if something was provided, right? If something was provided, was like a file path, right? And there we go. So after that, if if file path was actually provided, right? If file path exists, the first thing we want to do, we want to actually load the editor from the file. So maybe we need to have special function for the editor. So we have a function to save the editor to a file. Maybe we need to have something like editor load from file. Your God Lawrence, thank you thank you so much for Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you, and welcome to our epic text editor club. So load from file. So this one is going to be editor, and we're going to probably accept the file path like this. Right, so that's basically it. And if we won't be able to load the file, I suppose we're going to crash, at least for now, but in the future we might try to do something more smart than that. We'll see about that. Oh, webcam is in the light. Thank you so much. Forgot to align it properly. So assert false. So this function is not implemented. It's not implemented. My OCD. Ah, no, the camera is not aligned. Oh. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to. So file path. There we go. And that's pretty much it. So if you provide the file, we're going to be loading from there, but we just need to implement this kind of thing. So what's interesting is that what if you try to load the stuff into an editor that already has something, right? So what if you already has something? That's an interesting question. I guess we can just assert for now, right? We can just assert that the editor is empty. And how to know the empty editor? Well, it should have lines equal to null, right? So this is going to be assert editor lines, right? So here is the editor lines, and it has to be equal to null. So you can only load files into an empty editor, at least for now. Alright, so it's not aligned by 2 pixels. Oh my god. Is that okay? I'm sorry, I can't see shit. Wait. I think it's now pixel perfectly aligned. You see? Yeah, it is pixel perfectly aligned. Alright, so let's open the file. So it's going to be fopen, and it has to be file path, and we're going to be reading from that file. If file turned out to be null, we're going to be doing something like fprintf std error, error could not open file fits perfect. Could not open file that because of that, right? So that's basically what happened here. Cheers everyone, what framework are you using? libc. I'm using libc as a framework. It's actually a pretty good framework. It exists pretty much on any operating system, so it's quite you know, reliable to depend on that framework, because yeah, it's pretty much everywhere, almost like a browser. So yeah, it's a pretty good cross-platform framework. I really like it. It's a little bit old, right? But that's the price you have to pay for portability and cross-platformability. So we're trying to open this file, str error, error no. Older is better. I do agree with you. I do in fact agree with you. It's not old, it's well-aged. Like a good wine. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So, what we want to do in here, I suppose we want to actually read the whole thing into the memory and then parse it into the lines. Right. That's what we want to do. So maybe because of that, I want to actually employ my favorite function that I usually call slurp file. Yes. In my other projects, I have quite often the following function. So let me actually find it. I think it's somewhere in common. Slurp file. What this thing does essentially is it takes the file and just allocates enough memory to fit that file into the memory and just give that memory to you. So that's basically what we're gonna have in here. I'm gonna just have a slurp file. But the question is where I'm gonna put this entire stuff. So I don't know. I might as well create like a separate header in here. So this is gonna be file.h, and we're gonna define it like that, and it's gonna be end if file.h. So let's call it slurp file. Slurp file is going to accept the file path, right? And it's going to just like load the entire file into the memory and let you parse this this entire file. So on top of that, maybe I'm just thinking, what should we return? Should we return string view or should we return? No, let's actually do it like this. So it's also going to return you the size of the file, but why the pointer? Because C cannot return several things, right? So some of the arguments needs to be returned via the parameters. Yeah, I think I said it correctly. So this one is going to be file.h, and let's just implement this entire function. So where's the arena.c? Right. So something like this. And I think I'm gonna just go through the compilation errors in here and adjust everything accordingly, right? Because this thing is designed to be used with a custom memory allocator, but here we're not using custom memory allocator yet. But maybe we will in the future. Who knows? Maybe we will. Though it's kind of interesting if I want to be able to like open files of the size of gigabyte, right? So what's going to be the best way to actually do that? That's an interesting thing. So if I think the best way to approach that would be then to actually read everything by chunks, if you know what I'm talking about. So just have a huge chunk and just read everything by chunks. So maybe because of that I don't want to slurp the file, but I want to actually sort of read it lazily, and we're gonna have a big chunk, big chunkus. Yeah, maybe we're gonna go for that. So we're gonna go to the editor. So I opened this entire thing successfully. Hello New Year me, welcome to the stream. So, and how big of a chunk we're gonna have? I don't know, and we definitely need to allocate it somewhere. Right, so let's call it chunk, and let's allocate it somewhere in a static memory. So, editor, load chunk capacity, right, so something like this. Maybe I'm gonna actually keep it like this, so it's gonna be like 1 kibibyte, and how many kibibytes we wanna have in here? Maybe 640 kibibytes. Alright, so, and the thing we're gonna do in here, we're gonna use fread function, which will read everything into that specific chunk. Right, so here we're reading elements of size 1, and we wanna read chunk amount of elements from that specific file, and we're reading that into a chunk. And this is how many of them we actually read, right, so it's located in n. So I suppose we want to do that while we didn't reach the end of file, right? So essentially, while we did not reach the end of file, we're just reading everything in here, right? So here's the chunk. And essentially, yeah, now I just need to take the chunk and insert it into the editor. Simple as that, like that. All right. So what I need to do, I need to take the chunk and split it into the lines, right? So I need to split it into the lines. To do that, I think I'm gonna utilize my library, string view library that I developed some time ago, actually. So you can find it in here. It's actually a pretty cool library. I really recommend to check it out. And I'm gonna put it into the description as well for the people who's watching on YouTube. String view library. There we go. All right. So what I need to do in here, I need to construct the string view out of that specific chunk, right? So this is gonna be something like this, and this is going to be count, and count is going to be n. There we go. So we have the SV chunk. And obviously I also need to include SV. Alright, so this is going to be sv.h, like so. And what do we even have? Like, did I download it? I think I forgot to download it. Let's quickly download it. Alright. wget. Okay. So that h split. What was it called actually? Chop by delimiter? Yeah, I think it was chop by delimiter. Do we have something like try to chop by delimiter? Because chop by delimiter actually doesn't really care about whether the delimiter actually exists or not, right? It doesn't care about this kind of stuff. So we want to know if it actually chopped something or didn't chop anything. So I remember that somewhere I actually implemented chop by delimiter. I can show you how this library works. It's actually rather interesting. Maybe it's going to be interesting for somebody. SV prob, right? So something like C, right? So this is stdio, then stdlib. Right, and imagine that you have some sort of like a config file, right? X equals 69, Y equal 420, Z equal, I don't know, hello, right? And you also have like white spaces in here, and maybe spaces like that, and so on and so forth, maybe even comments, right, some comments. And I want to be able to parse this kind of thing in C, right, in pure C. So you would think that parsing shit like that in pure C is kind of a pain in the ass, and you would be right. But with this library that I use all the time, it's actually not that difficult, believe it or not. It's actually pretty easy. The only thing you need to do, you need to reliably read this entire thing into the memory. Right, so let's actually quickly try to do that. SV prob, right, so this is the config, const char file path equal config. So I'm gonna quickly read the config into the memory, right? So I'm gonna open the file, fopen file path. What am I doing? File path read. Maybe we're gonna have like a yet again a buffer for this entire thing. So this is gonna be character. Config, yeah, maybe something like this, and the size is going to be, let's say, 1 kilobyte, whatever. So, and I want to assert that f is not equal to null. Maybe I don't even need a separate variable in here, right? So this is not equal to null, and then I just read everything into this config. Then size of the config, and the file, and here is the config size. There we go. So we managed to read this entire thing, right? So if I try to write this entire stuff, the config config size into the std out, it should print the content of this file to std out. So let's actually quickly do that. So sv prob c, and we're gonna run this entire thing, right? So, and of course we need to include some of the things, right? Assert.h. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, we managed to read this file, and we have this file in the memory. Right, so the next thing we need to do, we need to construct string view out of this buffer. So, but first we need to include the library itself. Right, and the library is actually STB style library, meaning that I need to include SV implementation macro. So if you never heard about STB style libraries, I really recommend to check out this repo. It's rather interesting. It's a rather interesting approach, I would even say. STB libraries, right? And the reason why you have to include that implementation macro is actually described in here. How to. Right, so implementation macro. You use this symbol to control creating the implementations. So essentially, C translation units consist of headers, usually, and C files. Headers contain declarations, and C files contain implementations. So STB style header-only libraries basically take C files and header files and smash them together into a single file. So that means a single file contains both declarations and implementations. So, if you include the header-only library, STB-style header-only library, you only include it as the header without implementations. And then, to declare that you want to include also implementations, you put implementation macro. That way, you can control where your implementations of these functions go, so they don't collide during the linking stage. So that's precisely why you need this kind of stuff. So you can check it out here, and I'm also going to put it in the description. So why... you need implementation macro in STB. There we go. So you can find the explanation here. That's basically what it is. Right. If you include this library in each of your translation units along with the implementations, when you try to link your translation units, you will get conflicts because there are several implementations of the same functions. All right, so, and also the point is that only have one file per library. Yeah, I guess that's also the point, right? So, and I'm following the same approach. So here's a string view, and we need to construct the string view out of that. So this is going to be something like this. Data config, and the count is config size. There we go. So first thing I want to do to parse this configuration file, I want to split it by lines. Right, I want to split it by lines. So what I do, while this entire thing is not empty, I'm doing what? I'm doing SV chop by delimiter. This is a very interesting function. Chop by delimiter. It accepts a pointer to the string view and the delimiter, and it actually chops off like a chunk out of that string view by that specific delimiter. That's what it does. So, and what we want to do in here, we want to chop off by a new line, and here we go, you have a new line. And to demonstrate that we actually chopped off by the lines, I'm gonna print the following thing. So we're gonna have we're gonna take each individual line and wrap it with parentheses, let's say. So it's gonna be SV FMT, right? And then this is gonna be a new line, and then I say SV arg line. There we go. So that way I just split everything by lines, as you can see. So this was the original file, right? This was the original file, and this is a thing split by lines. So the next thing I want to do, I want to kind of filter out the comments and empty lines, if you know what I'm talking about, right? I want to do this kind of thing. So I suppose I'm going to take my line, right, and I'm going to chop by a comment, right? So if you essentially have something like this comment, you take this line, you chop by this thing, and you essentially get only this stuff, and you can throw away everything after the comment, right? So, and I'm just thinking what's going to be the best way to actually do that. We can do it like this. So this is the line, and then we're gonna have something like a pair, right? So after we actually split everything, we can try to do SV trim left, trimming all of the leading white spaces on the left, right? And here's what's interesting. If the pair after that is completely empty, right? If it's equal to 0, we can skip it completely. But if it's not empty, we're gonna print it, right? So let's quickly do that. This is gonna be printf svfmt, new line, svarg, pair, right, there we go. So if I try to recompile this entire thing, this is what we got, right? So this was the original input, and this is what we got. We filter out all of the empty lines and all of the comments with just this amount of code. And by the way, without allocating any memory, there's 0 memory allocations in here. It's not a fucking joke, seriously. I just did that in pure C without any memory allocation, without anything. I'm just operating on immutable string views. I just like windows of strings. So it's actually quite amazing. So I don't know why people don't use it more. Okay, so after that we identified that we have a pair. I want to actually chop off the name, the key, and the value. Right, the key and the value. So I'm going to do something like key. It's going to be chop by delimiter. So we're going to chop off from the pair, and delimiter is going to be equal, right? So this is the delimiter. After that, I suppose we want to actually trim from both of the ends, right? We trim in the delimiter from both of the ends, and the value in that case is going to be basically the rest of the pair. So it's going to be sv trim of the pair. There we go. So now we have key and value. So after that, we can just print them. So key is going to be something like this, svfmt, right? So svarg key. And the value, we're also going to align everything. The value is going to be something like this. And we also want to separate everything with a special line, for instance, so it looks a little better. And there we go. So the original config looked like this, and we parsed it into that. So we extracted each individual value, like of a key, and so on and so forth. If this is a number, you can now parse it into an actual number. And all of that took this amount of code. You can read about, you can actually see how a string view is implemented by reading its source code. Do we have, no, it's not that actually. So the entire library is open source. You can actually read yourself how it's implemented. And the string view, if you take a look at it, it's a structure with two fields, count and a pointer to the beginning of the string. So speaking of, it's just a wrapper of the string. This is very interesting question because there's no strings in C. There's just literally no strings in C. It's an incorrect question. So people will tell you that strings in C are these, but these are not a string. This is a constant pointer to a character, to a single character. Right, so it's not even a string. Okay, so I just wanted to demonstrate how this entire library works. Right, so this is not, it has nothing to do with what we're gonna do right now, but I just wanted to show for anyone who's interested, right? All right, so let me see. It's gonna be sv probe, and essentially, when I'm loading the chunk, right? So I also want to split the chunk by the lines because as I split it by the lines, I'll need to append it into the editor. Chunk sv count greater than 0. So while we are processing the chunk, I'm going to be actually extracting the lines out of this chunk. So it's going to be sv chop. Did I include this stuff? Yeah, I did include it. So it's located in here. I want to open it so Emacs can index it properly. Chop by delimiter, and we're chopping the chunk. And how we chopping? We're chopping by n in here. All right. So yeah. And here's the problem. So in case, in that small example, we didn't really care if there is a new line or not, but in this particular case, we do care if there is a new line or not. So if there's no new line, I don't want to create a new line, if you know what I'm talking about. Right, so I need somehow somehow know that there was a new line. Okay, so maybe we're gonna extend this library to actually support that. So let me quickly clone it. I'm not sure if I have it locally. Yeah, I think I do have it locally. Let's quickly extend it. So we have a couple of things in here. There we go. So we can try to build this entire stuff, and yeah, there's also testing in here. Yeah, we have unit tests for this library. That's really amazing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now let me see what we can do in here. Chop by delimiter. Okay, so I want to have something like string view sv try chop by delimiter. Right, it's going to accept this thing, the delimiter, and it somehow needs to indicate that you managed to chop by delimiter. It somehow needs to indicate that. So I think we're gonna actually return the chunk via the pointer in here, right? And then we're gonna return a boolean indicating whether it managed to chop by a chunk or not. So let's find sv chop by delimiter, and let's put this entire thing in here. All right. So here we are iterating until this kind of stuff. And then we're constructing. Oh, this one is interesting. If I... So basically this is where we know where we encountered it. Right, this is where we know where we encountered it. Nice. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna copy paste this entire stuff. Right. So if it's less, right, that means we can instantly return true. And if chunk was provided, we can do something like chunk result, right? Chunk result. All right. Okay, so let me see. So this is going to be true. This is going to be false. We're iterating through this entire stuff. This is going to be result. Okay, so we have this thing. You know what? I think I want to make a small break before we continue. Just a second. All right, let's continue. So I think that is it. So we have try chop by delimiter, but we also need to test this entire thing. All right, so let's recompile this entire stuff. Okay, looks cool. So where do we chop test chopping by delimiter? Chop by delimiter. So let's introduce try to chop by delimiter. Right, something like this. Yeah, so there's actually two cases in here which we can actually just steal, right? Because these two cases demonstrate that chop by delimiter doesn't care whether it exists or doesn't exist, right? So, but this one does care whether it exists or not. So let's quickly do that. So we have input, and I can try to do chop by delimiter, try chop by delimiter. You provide the input, you provide the delimiter, and you provide the place into which you're going to be sending the thing, the line, right? And in this case, we would expect this thing to be true. I think we have something like assert equal. Okay, so this is the result, and result for boolean. So we have assert true, so I might as well actually do something like this. Assert true, the result, first of all, we're asserting the true, and then we expect the line to be equal to hello and the input equal to be world. Might as well actually put some stuff in here just to, you know, see how it fails, just to see that this entire test even works. and there we go. So this one has to be a pointer. Right, there we go. So expected this one, but we got a different one. All right, so there we go. So you can see we're doing TDD, well, almost TDD. I mean, I implemented the thing first, and then I implemented the tests. So let's quickly do that. Static. So this one, so input, and then the line is going to be essentially this one, result sv try chop by delimiter, input, and I think the delimiter was, yeah, space, it was space. Right, then we're asserting this entire thing true, right. And here we're expecting this stuff, and this stuff. Let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, so this one is failed because it has to be false, in fact. And in fact it is false. So, alright, and yep, so we wrote the tests for the new function. Wait, what? Oh, it actually have to... Yeah, it have to be the other way around because it didn't actually chop and yeah. So this one has to be the other way around, right? If it fails, yeah. So I do agree with that. All right. So as you can see, writing tests is useful, right? You should always write your test. You should always write your test. That's why you don't need static typing, guys. You don't understand. You don't need static typing because all of that is solved by the tests, and you should always write the tests anyway. Right, so this is hard proof that you don't need static typing. Right here. Alright, so let me make a pull request. Okay, so this is something like this. Try to chop, right? So this is gonna be something like this. Implement a sweet try chop by delimiter, right? So implement. Okay, so I'm gonna push that right at the ribbon. All right, and there we go. Implement a sweet try chop by delimiter. All right. So we're gonna wait for continuous integration, and after that, we're gonna merge everything. Only waiting for macOS, by the way. Only waiting for macOS. And Windows, of course. And Windows. I wonder why macOS builds are usually slower than everyone else. There's something about macOS. Maybe it spins up the virtual machine or something. So there we go. So delete the branch. So it's merge origin master, right? And now we can use the latest version of this thing in the text editor, right? So we're going to be copying it in here, right? So and yep. So So essentially what I want to try to do, I want to keep chopping this entire thing until we reach the end. So while so this is going to be the line, right? So, and then we're gonna accept this line in here. So if you manage to chop that line, we're gonna be adding that line into the editor, right? If you didn't chop this entire thing, that means you just need to take the entire chunk and add it to the current line or something like that. Interestingly, interestingly, I want to be able to just push this stuff, but I don't think it's that easy. So for the line, I can insert the text before the line, right? But I also want to be able to append the text, right? So we definitely need the function that basically appends the text. Line append text, right? So we accept the line, right? And we accept the text. And for this one, we don't accept any column, right? Because the column is essentially going to be, you know, at the end of the line anyway. So it's like whatever. So let's actually put this entire thing into the editor here. So it's going to be somewhere here. Right, so appending the line. And I suppose it could be just implemented in terms of this entire thing, right? So we're forwarding the line, we're forwarding the text, and the column is essentially going to be something like this. Line size. Yeah, it's literally going to be line size, but we want to copy it because it could be modified, right? It could be modified. So something like this. So this one is really useful because we have a line and we're going to be just appending it there. We're just going to be appending it there. All right. So there is a really strange problem with the editor structure, I would even say. So it needs to have the first line, right? It needs to have the first line. Because I'm trying to follow like this zero initialization principle that if I allocate a structure and zero initialize this entire structure, it should be a correct structure. So that means where the structure where lines are equal to null is a correct editor. It is in fact a correct editor, but this editor doesn't have the first line. So that means in all of these functions, I need to check that sort of this line exists, and if it doesn't, I need to create first new line in a special way, which is rather inconvenient. And this is something that I also need to do while loading the file into the editor. So, and I do that with this particular chunk of code, right? With this particular chunk of code, and I repeat it like everywhere. And I'm thinking that I need to extract this thing into a separate function. Okay, so this is the push new line. Do I even have push new line in here? I think I don't. This entire function is actually completely static. Right, can I actually forward declare them in here? Right. So this is going to be assert false. Okay, so this is going to be to do, and this is going to be that. Right. Okay, so what do we have in here? Chop. I have to do try chop by delimiter. So undefined. Okay, this is very interesting. Look. So I included SV without the implementation macro. So what I need to do now, I need to actually define it here, SV implementation, right? And everything works, right? Everything works. But the next time in a different translation unit, right, I may include this entire thing, right? And it will also work. Right, it will also work. But then, if I include implementations as well, SV implementation, it will fail because of the collision of the implementations. But here's the interesting thing. I may just like ignore it and not include it in here, but that means that the implementations of SV are located in the editor, which is kind of weird. Why are they located in the editor? I think for header-only libraries, these kind of implementations have to be located in the main translation unit, if you know what I'm talking about, right? So what I want to do in here is just go to main and put them somewhere at the bottom where nobody's going to see them, right? So that way I will ensure that implementations are included only once and they are in the main translation unit, right? So there we go. So that's how I usually approach it, right? When I have like bigger projects where that uses several header-only libraries and stuff like that. So I just include all of the implementations into the main thing. Okay, so I forgot to change something in here. Yeah, I need to remove implementation from here. Okay. So, I need to append. Did I implement append? Yeah, I already implemented append. And yeah, I completely forgot, I went on a tangent. So I need to take this piece of code that creates the first new line and do something with it, right? So I just, yeah. Let's have something like editor. Create first new line. So push new line. To be fair, this one is actually rather straightforward, and I don't... Yeah, I think I'm gonna replace push new line with create new first line. So push new line like this, right? And we're gonna do it like that. So, okay. Create new thing. Create first new line. So this is gonna be somewhere here. Create first new line. Right, so this is something like Let's make a small break. I think I need to make a cup of tea. All right. So. Let's continue. Let's continue. So what we need to do? All right. So we have a first line editor. Create first new line. That's what it is. Insert new line. We don't have to do this kind of thing. All right. So let me try to. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to check something. Yeah, I basically wanted to check this specifically just to see if I didn't break anything. So it doesn't look like I broke anything, which is nice. Okay. So this is gonna be this first editor, first create first new line, right? So this is gonna be something like this. So here is the new line. If we encounter something like this, right? we essentially take editor, like line, insert text. Yeah, I wanted to append the text. That's precisely why I was implementing this kind of thing. And the line into which I'm inserting all of that, so I think I want to rename it to chunk line, right? So this is a chunk line, and I'm going to be saving it in here, right? So this is the chunk line, and I want to have a pointer to the current line in here. So this is going to be the editor, and editor.h, and yeah, so this is going to be lines, editor size -1, right? And we know for sure that it always exists in there. Right, so I put the line in here, and oh yeah, this one is interesting. So we append in the text, but we actually don't have the null terminated text. We have sized text. That's quite important. Okay, so that's very, very important. Insert text before, and this one also accepts null terminated. Okay, we'll need to implement like a sized versions for both of these things. I didn't think about that, right? So there will be null terminated versions and the sized versions. Okay, this is something that we definitely overlooked. Okay, insert text before, insert, well, this is part of the line. So this one is essentially going to be append text sized, right? And then this is going to be size t, text size. There we go. So, and in here, line insert text sized before line const char text and size t, text size. And do we need to have a column in here? We do need to have a column in here. All right. So this is going to be something like this. Line append text, and yeah, let's actually start with line insert text before, right? Okay, so, and I suppose this is going to be the implementation of that function, right? Because you pass text size in here, and then we're implementing the null terminated one in terms of the sized one. So that's a classic trick. That's a classic God Cooler move, if you know what I'm talking about. Haha, I'm sorry, it's done. And we're just going to be passing this thing in here. There we go. So we have a sized, like an ultimated version, and it's implemented in terms of the sized version, and we're gonna have a similar thing in here. So append text sized, right? Append text size, and this one is essentially implemented in terms of, yeah, it's this one. So this is the sized, and we used the sized here as well, right? So we just text size. And that one, oh, well, yeah, so that's totally fine. So this one is going to be somewhere here, like this. Text strlen, text like this. Cool. Make -b. Editor initializing, yeah, it has to be pointer. So, and there we go. So we have a sized one. Oh my god, where am I? Okay, so this is going to be the text, right? So we have a line, which is the data, and line, which is the count, right? So the text sized, all right. There we go. And after that, we need to append a new line in there, I suppose. What an annoying song. Insert text before. I need to insert a new line. But it's gonna insert it at the end of the row, right? So we're inserting it at the end of the row. So if I do editor this thing, do I increment the row up? Yeah, I do increment the row afterwards as well. This is actually pretty cool. So that means for me, it's just as simple as, yeah, insert a new line. But in here, is this a scheme? Is it compatible with scheme though? Garbage Lisp, it's called JL. I love it. Let's implement it in Go. That looks cool. Okay. So where was the rule 110 examples? Yeah, rule 110. Okay. Is this a default or do I have to? How many generations do 20? Oh, I see. Here's the UX lesson for you, right? Here's UX. Make this a default. Just makes it default, so the user can just press enter without modifying anything. Seriously, it would be actually way easier to work with, right? Without me copying it around. And better yet, just get rid of these prompts completely and have this as default, and maybe provide this thing via. But I mean, it's an example, I suppose. For example, it's all right. But like forcing the user to always provide this kind of stuff is actually not really great, because user is a very lazy person. They don't want to do anything. They just show me the pretty picture as quickly as possible. So yeah, and it's also not intuitive because you quite often would expect you know, this thing to be a default. Right. All right. Pretty cool. Congrats. Congrats on Turing completeness. Congrats on Turing completeness. Alrighty. So, let me see. What we're gonna have in here. So the editor, we're working with the editor. So in here, if I couldn't actually chop this entire thing, I wanna insert chunk SV data, chunk SV count, and I suppose after that I can safely say that chunk SV is equal to SV null, right? So it's not defined anymore, and the entire loop is gonna stop. But interestingly, yeah, this will not insert a new line at all. This doesn't insert a new line. So that means the next chunk is gonna just append it to the current line, right? So line append check size. All right. So, and that's pretty much it, I suppose. Right. At the end of this entire stuff, we can just set the editor cursor row to be 0. There we go. Okay, so this is the line. Inserting the text. It's actually chunk line. Okay. Chunk line. We have a raid from oh my god, you're got unbanned? Congrats! Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome everyone. We are developing a text editor. Congrats on being unbanned. Hi, hello. So look what we were developing. We're developing a text editor. That looks like this. So yeah, it cannot do much, but you can theoretically write a hello world in it. So like this, yeah, and it's implemented using your favorite library of all time, right? So we're using your favorite library. That is very cross-platform and it works on all of the machines. I know that you absolutely love this library. Yeah, so it's like I'm trying to make it like more or less like portable. So there is like a data structure that can be hooked up into like any renderer. It's just like for now we're using SDL as a renderer, but we can hook it up into incurses, for instance. So the main core of the application doesn't really care where it's going to be rendered. You know what I'm talking about? So it's just like for now, but it's not necessarily going to be like that. I had to meet some bad man in dark alley and do some things. Okay, I can imagine that. Twitch do be like that sometimes. Cheers on Unbandle. All right. Never say for now. For now. For now. Sorry. I've been behaving nice. He said it. All right. So I suppose now we just need to, oh yeah, so we already have everything, and let's see if the application is going to crash if I try to open something, right? So let's write a hello world, hello.c, right? So it's going to be something like this, stdio, and it's going to be stdlib, and I don't know why I'm including stdlib. For hello world you don't really need stdlib, don't you? Do you? I don't speak English, I'm sorry. Tag questions are difficult. So it's like, when you say in tag question, right, you have to remember whether your sentence is negative or positive, and you have to invert that at the end of the sentence. How do you, English speakers, have enough cache to remember you know, whether the sentence at the beginning was positive or negative? How do you remember? Because I don't have that variable that remembers that and then applies not at the end of the sentence. Like it never works in my brain for some reason. Always use this. Because I start the sentence and I don't remember whether it was negative or positive anymore because I say like this kind of stuff quickly. So I guess it's, I mean, if it's your native language, it's like, you know, second nature essentially. I did 7-hour stream of mistakes and blunders, and now I know that 8TB disks are not 8TB, and I managed to get FreeBSD 14 running on RISC-V again. Nice. So now I'm tired and I fully understand your English, which is far better than my Russian. Alright, so thank you. Really appreciate it. I've been studying English for 10 years. Right, so Yeah, not really studying, just, you know, shit posting on the internet. That's what they call studying English. All right. So let's actually try to open this file in our text editor. So it's going to be T. German language normally uses that structure of sentence verb on the middle and end of the sentence. In case of a Russian language, I think it's even more difficult because you have nouns and verbs, and you have adjectives appended to the nouns and adverbs appended to the verbs, and the adjectives have to be synchronized with like gender case with the nouns, and you also can shuffle them around in the senses however you want. So you actually, to speak Russian, you actually need a bigger cache to remember the previous connections between the words. And I don't know how you do that, I suppose. Like, my brain just does that. I guess it's supposed the same thing with the tag questions. Anyways, so let's try to open the hello world, and there we go. We opened the file. That's pretty cool. And I can probably modify that. So this is going to be like a test. Yep. And you know what's cool? I think we save with a very stupid key combination. I think we save with F2. Yeah. So I'm gonna do the following thing. If the file path is defined, we're gonna save back to that file path, right? So we're gonna be saving back. So let's actually do something like this. So it's gonna be TE. Okay, so it seems to be working, but nothing is happening. But now I'm gonna try to open, yeah. Here's the hello world, right? Then I open hello world in TE, right? I go somewhere here and I'm gonna say something like hello chat, and I'm saving it and I'm closing it and I'm do cut hello C, and it didn't work. I have no idea why. Why didn't it work exactly? Because as an English speaker, gender is crazy and makes no sense. You do have gender in English as well. Actor and actress. Right? So... So, for example, if you say word mom in a sentence, and then later in a sentence you refer to her, you use she, her in the sentence. It's the same in any other language with a gender, but also for inanimate objects. So, yeah. It's like this, take these special cases that are still left in English and expand it to the whole language, and that's basically it. Oh yeah, this is only for people. Yeah. So in other languages, you also have that for inanimate objects as well. All right. So I wonder why it didn't work. Okay. Welcome. I guess that's why everyone is constantly backseating me, so... It's just like, they cannot help it. They see me making a small, like, yeah. I guess Sojing channel is basically torturing people with OCD. I'm so sorry for that. But I'm not doing that intentionally, by the way. I'm not doing that intentionally. I'm just doing my usual coding, okay? So, I guess I am dumb like that. Who knows? Anyway, so let's open this thing in here and replace this kind of stuff. So this is gonna be hello chat, and I close the text editor, and it says hello chat. So it is closer to being an actual text editor. How about that? Isn't that amazing? I think it's goddamn fucking amazing, mate. Holy shit. Hey, yo. Hello, text file. So can I even do something like test? I cannot do that if the file does not exist yet. This one is actually rather interesting, right? So if file does not exist, we sort of don't want to crash. We just want to create like a new buffer, but still set the current file to that file path, if you know what I'm talking about, right? In any case, so we are loading from CLI. So I have a couple of shit in here that is not needed anymore. Right, so this is the hello. And it was actually saved. Oh, it was actually saving it to file path. All right. So we don't need path in here, I think. Oh my god, it's too many questions. It's asking too many questions. So create first new line, and we have that. Implement loading files from command line. So maybe it would make sense to do something like this. Just put it in here. And let's see, can the text editor open its own source code? That's a good question. Is the text editor finally self-hosted? If you know what I'm talking about, right? Self-hosted text editor. Yes, it is. I just opened the source code of the text editor in the text editor itself. I can try to do something like hello from TE, right? And I'm gonna save this entire thing, and I'm gonna go in here and Emacs, and there we go, hello from TE. So yeah, it's a self-hosted text editor, essentially. It actually works. I'm amazed. And it took 3 days to implement this shit. So you know what's cool? It doesn't support scrolling. So I cannot see what's down there. Right. So it's kind of useless. It's only like locked in here. I can also I cannot also delete the lines, right? I can only add lines. So yeah, this one is interesting. Implementing first editor before editors, yeah. All right. So update readme. There we go. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? I think it's goddamn fucking amazing, mate. Oh my god. So in here, by the way, I want to check if the file exists. Right. I want to check if the file exists, and if it doesn't exist, I don't want to crash. I want to just simply not do anything. Right, so so maybe we can do something like this. Maybe we can move opening a file outside. So essentially make this function accept file thingy. Yeah, this one is going to be just a file. There we go. File, there we go. It's rendering using SDL2. Yeah, but it's not gonna be like a permanent thing. So in the future, maybe we're gonna have several renderers, right? Because it's actually relatively easy to hook up this editor to incurses, right? And I think it's going to have some sort of like a terminal mode for editing over SSH. But to be fair, do you really need like a terminal mode to edit over SSH in 2021? Visual Studio Code demonstrated that you don't really... Yeah, so backend and frontend, but I mean, it's overcomplicating things, if you know what I'm talking about. So how does the Visual Studio Code actually solve this kind of stuff? Does it spin up like a whole web server at the end of the, you know, over on the other end of SSH or something like that? Visual Studio Code server. Yeah. Do you have to install it yourself? Or does it upload it there automatically? So it's not this thing. It's in the browser. It installs. Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. So if it has, but what if it doesn't have the right to? How's it installed? Where does it install? In home folder? If it installs it in home folder, it has to be... The executable that it uploads there has to be self-contained. Is it a native executable or is it a JavaScript? Visual Studio. It's a JS. So you need a Node.js on the server side to actually run the Visual Studio Code server. So, huh. But maybe it uploads Node.js there as well. So, yes, it does. Oh, okay, so like it basically uploads the server and Node.js. Okay, cool. By the way, is Node.js even like self-contained by itself? Read file. Is it? I think it's a read link. Okay. So it's somewhere in the store. Maybe I can just take a look at the file. It's a link. Can file? Okay, so local user local stall node 13 bin node. It's dynamically linked, and it depends on libc++. So it's not self-contained. So it also requires GCC. What if my distro doesn't use GCC at all? How do I run it on that distro? Or I don't, or I simply don't, I suppose. It's really sus. Not gonna lie. All of that is really sus. Anyways. Okay, so let's actually go to the compilation errors and see how it goes. So file path, yeah, this one has to be like F. Sasalala, hello, haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing? So it's gonna be for reading. You haven't faced with such cases. Okay, so I suppose they basically they don't care about very specific cases, right? So I won't be able to edit file over SSH on my MIPS router, right? Which doesn't even have like a proper libc. It instead of libc, it uses like some, you know, there is a special libc for embedded devices. So it's very small. It's like almost stripped off, like completely from everything. And yeah, it's not going to be able to do that, but they don't care about the specific cases because they're quite rare. Who the fuck is going to edit files using Visual Studio Code on some sort of old ass MIPS router, right? So, I mean, stop programming on Commodore 64 and buy a real computer, right? Okay, I see. Right, if f was equal to null, right, if it was actually not equal to null. I did an ARM, it works well even with extensions. Nice, but it's not about really architectural thing, it's more about the environment. If you have, well, it has libc, yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Because my router, like, it literally didn't have shit, so it was really difficult to run anything in there. And that's why I was so surprised about Go executables, because Go executables are completely self-contained, and they literally just ran on my old ass, you know, router, and I was so surprised. It's like, what the fuck? I want to learn C. What resources do you recommend? I guess the C, yeah, KNR. Even though I never read it, but everyone's suggesting KNR because it's the original book. Yeah, there's nothing much to suggest. Just yeah. Also, you can watch Handmade Hero series, Handmade Hero. Even though Casey is using C++, he actually uses pretty much C. Right, so you can start watching. Oh, he even has like a whole series on like C on Windows, right? So I would recommend you to do that. Carrot91, thank you so much for a 7 month of tier 1 subscription. Yeah, so Google up Handmade Hero C, right? Yeah, intro to C on Windows. So you can check out this thing. So which was also quite good. So I suppose I need to also put that in the description, right? So intro to C on Windows, right? So I'm gonna put this kind of stuff in the description as well. intro to C on Windows by hand made hero. There we go. It's also pretty cool. Right. Starcode Galaxy, is it out yet? I think it's not really out yet. So from what I heard about this course, it's actually very interesting. I especially got intrigued by this idea that he has some sort of like simple challenges, but if you already know how to solve that challenge, he has additional challenges on top of them with like different twists and different limitations and stuff like that. This has actually got me really curious. So I wonder if when the course is out, can I, you know, do that course and also stream it? Because that would be actually rather interesting. I don't know, maybe I should ask them. Maybe I should just send the email to Molly Rocket or something and just ask them about that. But yeah, this is actually really intriguing. Because I like challenges like that. Yeah, I want to finally learn C because obviously I have so many bugs, so many seg faults. I don't know C. To be fair, I don't really know C that much, like unironically, seriously. It's kind of interesting, like even though C is much simpler than C++, you still kind of learn it forever, right? So because there's always some like corner of C, like dark corner of C that nobody still knows about. You know what I'm talking about? Which is kind of weird because the language itself is super simple. I think you can just know the entirety of it, but no, there's also like something in there. There's always something in there, in the dark corners of C. Okay, so this is the file path. MonkOS. MonkOS indeed. So this one has to be the file. We can just call the file. Dark key corner. Haha. Okay, so this one is not needed anymore, I suppose. Lisp is the same. Lisp is not even a language. Lisp as a language does not exist anymore. When people say Lisp, they mean a family of languages. The original McCarthy Lisp, it's long time dead. Nobody even knows like what it looked like. But when people say Lisp, they refer to a family. I suppose you mean Common Lisp, right? Specifically, a Common Lisp is a standardized language, a standardized dialect of the Lisp, from the Lisp family. Because it is quite big. I do agree with that. Common Lisp is actually quite big. So this is the file. Common Lisp, yeah, okay. So in case of Common Lisp, it does make sense. Because there are way simpler dialects of Lisp, for example, Scheme. So like actually standardized Scheme is rather simple. Not taking Racket into account, but just like, you know, bare bones Scheme. It's just like, yeah, it's a very simple language. So, and it's also considered Lisp. All right, so can I create like new things now? Right, so right now I don't have hello. Right, I don't have such thing. So can I do TE hello? And it's false. Okay, nice. Cool, thank you very much. What is it segfault? I suppose I have to do it like this, yeah. MCQ8 subscribed at tier 1 for 11 months, almost a year by the way. Thank you so much, thank you. And welcome to our epic C Club. Alright, so there we go. stdioh, printf hello world. So it's gonna be a new line, then we're gonna do return, and then that, then I'm saving everything, and then I do gcc hello, and then I'm running it. I wrote hello world using my own text editor. How about that? How about that? Isn't that amazing? I think it's goddamn amazing. Oh my god. Oh my god. So let me see. So save load files. So we did implement load in the files, so we need to save them now. And another thing I wanted to have is actually ncurses renderer, because that would be kind of interesting, because the whole editor is just this data structure. You can effectively hook up this data structure to anywhere, right? You just need some sort of like a tile character renderer, right? And ncurses could be one of them, right? So SDL could be one of them. So yeah, that would be interesting to explore, right? It would be interesting to explore how to hook up this editor into ncurses. And another thing I wanted to explore is, suppose, I mean not explore, but implement scrolling. Scrolling, because we don't have a scrolling. So you can open the source code of the editor in the editor. It's double free. So this is the lesson, kids. That's why you're never free. So if you allocate memory and never free, you're never gonna have a double free, because you're never free. Just by not using a single function, you eliminate the whole class of bugs. It's pretty cool. So just never free. Let it leak, let it leak. All right. So why do I even do free, by the way? That's kind of sus. Aborted. So let's see where exactly that happened. So it's gonna be main.c, and yeah, so fclose. It was trying to that is really strange. That is really oh, I know why. Because yeah, it's literally double free, because I'm closing this file in here, but I should not. Okay, so what I wanted to say, by the way, never close your files. I mean, in case of the closing files, you should close your files. So there's a pretty cool video by Pawn Functions. If you never heard about this channel, it's actually pretty cool. It's about information security and stuff like that. Pawn Functions, closing files. Why you should always close your files. It's actually pretty cool video. I really recommend to check it out. So it's like from the point of view of the security, right? So why you should close your files. It's a pretty cool example. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the title of that video and put it in the description. So okay, so Thrash5, what's up? Have you exercised today? Doesn't Linux close files when task struct is destroyed? It does, but it has nothing to do with that. So if you have a long living application which reads from file once and you forget to close the file is going to be open for the entirety of the application, but that may impose some risks from the information security point of view. All right. So what do we have in here? I think there's like literally scientific name for this kind of stuff. Confirmation bias? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Right. It's, I mean, confirmation bias is a slightly different thing. But it's kind of close to the situation, I think. Yes, I am implementing my text editor because I get tired of pop-ups in Emacs. Yes, that's precisely the reason. I'm not going to even argue with that. Alright, so what I wanted to do? I wanted to do a committee and maybe even pushy. Okay. Add an ability to create new files, right? And I'm gonna push that right at the repo. So let me see. How are we gonna be scrolling shit, by the way? It's a very interesting question. Load from CLI. No pushy before committee. Oh. Holy shit, I added a dependency on string view, that's why there's so many changes. Yeah, that makes sense. There's a string view in there. There is a string view in there. Dependencies dance game. But it's actually pretty lightweight dependency. It's a header-only library. So it doesn't count. It's a free dependency, essentially. So what's gonna be the next thing? I need to decide what's gonna be the next issue I'm gonna be working on. Save the file. It'll be kind of interesting, right? So if I open the text editor like that, and if I try to save the file, right? If I try to save the file, it won't really work because the text editor doesn't know the file name, right? It should ask you for the file name, so it needs to be implemented somehow. But to be fair, right now it's not that big of an issue because you always can just create a new file like that. Right, so maybe we don't even need an ability to... Yeah, if you want to create a new file, just create it like that. It actually simplifies everything, at least for now, right? In the future, maybe we're gonna have something, right? But for now, it's gonna be all right. Yeah, and it would be better to also have a better key binding, because right now you save with F2, which is kind of dumb. I want to be able to save with Control S, I don't know, so the classical thing. So, by the way, chat, what combination of characters do you use to save things? Let's merge the pull request. Control S for me. Okay. We have a majority of Vimers in here. Why there's so many Vimers who watches me? Why are you watching like Emaxer doing stuff? Why don't you watch like a Vim streamer or something? I'm joking, by the way. Text editor doesn't matter. It's how you use it. It's not the editor that matters, it's how you use it, right? Any Vimers in the chat? Convert to the Vim base? I already use Vim. I don't know what you're talking about. I can use Vim. It's just not that hard. It's just like, yeah. It's pretty easy text editor to use. Pretty easy to navigate. It's very simple, very lightweight. I just didn't see any problems actually. Cocooners? Cocooners? To be fair, I don't quite remember how to use Cocoon. Okay. So save file. Jump forward scrolling. I think the most important thing right now is to have scrolling, right? Without the scrolling, it's kind of like pointless, if you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's go ahead and implement scrolling. Scrolly poly. Scrolly poly. God damn it. By the way, for Cody became free a couple... Whoa, my god, let's actually check out. Can I finally customize it for free? Can I finally customize it? Okay, custom API. How do I download this stuff? By the way, I'm gonna put it in the description. Alright, so this is the 4-quarter. So the thing about this website, it's absolutely unclear how to download shit from it. Custom API, custom built-in. Okay, so a get 4-quarter in here. You can get free demo. Okay. Download the editor for Windows. Okay. Download now. Okay, so this is what I need to download, right? So, and it's gonna be, okay, purchase now. I suppose I can put 0. I want you to, can I put 0 in here? Debate it. I don't understand. I never understood the website of 4Quarter. It's so unclear how to use it. Like there's like 3 separate websites, and from which I download things. I don't understand. Sorry, you lost me. You lost me. I'm sorry. You completely lost me. So it's really hard to understand what the hell is going on in there. RTNA subscribed with Twitch Prime. Thank you so much for the subscription, and welcome to our epic 4Quarter club. We're all using 4Quarter in here. So yeah. So I want you to implement the scrolling, right? I want you to implement the scrolling. To implement the scrolling, essentially we just need to render from a very specific row, if you know what I'm talking about, right? But before we implement scrolling, I think I'm gonna make a small break because I really want to make a cup of tea because I really need a coffee right now. So, all right. So I've got a pretty cool idea for the scroll. So let's go ahead and implement it. I think it's going to be rather interesting. So where is the editor? The editor is located somewhere here. Let's introduce a camera. So we're going to have a very smooth scrolling. You will see, It's going to be fucking awesome. So we're going to have something like vector 2f, camera position. And initially camera, camera is going to be like, has a 0 position. But on top of that, we're also going to have something called camera velocity, right? So it's going to be camera vel, right? So it's how quickly the camera changes in its position. And we're going to be updating all of that every frame. So I want to make a camera that follows your cursor. You know, the same thing that I do in my games. I mean, yeah, it's technically possible. Let's make a camera that just follows your cursor and also always centers it somewhere. I don't know, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting, I think. It's a DX DY for the camera. Yeah. So cursor trails too. Yeah, we'll see. So we need to give it a try, and then it will be clear how we can improve that. Oh boy, so here we have the position where we render this entire thing, right? So, we might as well call it something like text position, I suppose? Yeah. So, line pose, right? So this is going to be line pose, like 2F, line pose, there we go. Interpolation, well, yeah, we're going to have some sort of interpolation, I suppose. So here's the line position, and we can do something like vector f add, and I'm adding a camera. So if the camera is located somewhere there, we actually have to subtract. So it has to be sub, and we're gonna have a camera position in here. There we go. So something like this, and then we use the line position. So let me see if this entire thing compiles or not. We might as well actually test by opening the original file and testing it. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And now, on each frame, as we update everything, we need to figure out where the cursor is located. So we already kind of know, right? So this is the cursor position. So I can take the cursor position, right? So this is something like this, cursor position. And I can take the position of the camera and the cursor position and subtract one from another one. So here's the cursor position, vector f sub, and the camera position. So, and that gives me a direction, right, in which I have to move. And I might as well actually put it as a velocity of the camera, right? So this is going to be the velocity of the camera, right? I'm updating that velocity every time. And then we do something like camera position, vec2 f add, we're adding camera velocity, but we also need to multiply it by time. So do we have a DT for that? I think, oh, we don't even synchronize the FPS. We don't even have an FPS. All right, so that's very interesting. So first we need to introduce the concept of FPS. So do we have a width and height in here? We don't. Okay. So let's introduce screen width and height, and also FPS. Screen width, then height, 600, and also FPS. We're gonna have 60 FPS. So screen width, screen height. Alright. So something like that. So we're gonna have like locked FPS to 60. So that means we're gonna have something like delta time, where we take 1 and divide it by FPS, and this is basically delta time in seconds. Right. And in here we'll have to actually calculate the time, how much it took to render a single frame, and then we can use that for the rest of the stuff. But okay, in here I can do the following thing. So I'm gonna vec2 f, multiply this thing by delta time, right? But delta time has to be constructed into a vector, otherwise it won't work. Hello, Johnny Most. Hello, hello. Welcome to the streamus. Cheers, by the way. This tea has a very funny smell to it. Alright, this tea tastes sus. That's what they say. It definitely tastes sus. I don't know why. Okay. So I know that in SDL you have a thing to get ticks, right? Just like here in Academ Городок Novosibirsk, we have a lot of ticks in here. So SDL get ticks. So it's actually quite dangerous in here because the Academ Городок is literally located in the middle of a forest, right? So that's why there's a lot of ticks in here. So where's the definition of get ticks? I think it's somewhere here, maybe. Yeah, but a lot of like places they're actually disinsected. Is that how it's called in English? So shouldn't be a problem. So this is how you get ticks in here, right? But it's still a little bit dangerous if you go too deep into the forest. Deep, dark forest, if you know what I'm talking about. So we can start computing the frame. So this one is going to be something like const start. So this is where we start. Then we're rendering the entire frame. Then we're presenting it. And then we have uint const. Actually, yeah, we want to do SDL get ticks minus start, and this is going to be the delay depending on the FPS, right? So we'll have to divide this thing by FPS and subtract this entire thing from it. So this is how, yeah, const uint 32 duration, right? So this is the duration, and if the duration is less than this thing, we'll do SDL delay. Hello, Broker11. Delay. Could have actually extracted this thing into a separate thing, but I don't know. So something like uint 32 delta time ms. It's not Microsoft, it's milliseconds, by the way. Delta time ms. Yeah, something like that. So we're gonna sort of like synchronize to 30 FPS. This is we're gonna try to. Okay, so FSP. The compiler will tell me if I did a mistake somewhere. Don't worry about it. Microsus. See, the compiler told me. Don't worry about it. All right. So cool. Theoretically, that should already work. So are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Because I'm not ready. So I'm gonna be opening this thing. It doesn't work, by the way. Yay! It doesn't work. Not first try indeed. So we go in here. All right, we can try to go somewhere here. So 292. GDB TE break main.c 292 run main.c. Okay, so we have in here. So if I take a look at cursor position, so print cursor position is 0. So and okay, so now we have a camera velocity. So here's the camera velocity. It turned out to be 0, even though cursor position is 0 and the camera position is in fact 0. Okay, so that makes sense. So that's why it didn't do anything. Oh, you know what? It could be that it's very, very slow. That could be actually it. What if it's too slow? Huh. And that's why it's not updating. So one of the things we can do in here, we can try to print the velocity of the camera. Print F. Chat, don't be sad. Be okay. We're gonna fix that. Right. Even though it's not the first try, it doesn't mean that you have to give up. Right, so that means you have to continue working on this thing until it works. Right, so that's basically it. Okay, it is moving somewhere, but... Oh, wait a second, I'm an idiot. I have to reassign the camera position to here. That's... Okay, that explains it, alright. Chat, look, it's gonna be almost first try. Yes! Oh my god, this is so cool. Well, I mean, alright. So the cursor is not affected, but oh my god, this is so fucking epic. Holy shit. Wait, we need to fix the cursor. We need to fucking fix the cursor. Render cursor. Alright, so this is the position. So when we use the same position throughout everything, right? Yeah, okay, it's, that means I need to do vector to F. Camera position like this. There we go. Alright, so if I try to run this entire stuff, so incompatible type with the oh, it has to be add. Okay, so we're happy now. Okay. Smooth scrolling kinda sus. No, it's not sus. I'm not sure what the hell is going on. Because... Oh, okay. So I suppose maybe I need to... Oh, I subtract. Okay, I'm an idiot. Okay. The cursor, I have to subtract. Like this, right. So this is gonna be camera position. There we go. Is it gonna work? Yeah, finally it works. So this is truly sus, like holy shit. But you can inspect this kind of stuff, and it definitely should actually center slightly differently, right? Because it centers it always here, right? And yeah, it is definitely kind of sus. What if I create like a new file? Well, completely new file, something like hello.c, right? Oh, this is so funny. Like, I mean, it definitely has to be centered slightly differently, but overall it kind of works, right? Overall. So let's try to do a different thing now. I really like that, actually. So we need to know the size of the window every time we calculate that, right? So we need to grab the size of the window. SDL get window size. So all right. Typewriter go blur. Exactly. You know it. In WH. This is gonna be something like that. Right. And This one is kind of interesting. So the cursor position. So I subtract. I suppose when you apply the camera, yeah, it has to be applied on the level of a camera, I suppose. Jay, hello, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so here's the line position. All right, I want to have a function, something like window size, right? Vector f window size, right? It accepts SDL window, and returns this kind of thing. So in here, I get a window size, window wh int wh, and here we're going to be returning vector to f wh float float. There we go. So here's the window size. And every time I do this kind of thing, I'm subtracting the camera position, right? So we have that it means I subtract that. But I also probably need to subtract. I also need to add half of the window. That's what I need to do. All right, vec2 f sub add so window size, right? So here's the window size. Vec2 f multiply vec2 fs 05. There we go. So that's basically what we want to have in here, and I need to repeat this kind of stuff. Yeah, so apparently I need another function. Project camera project point, right? So we're gonna accept the point, right? And this is where we're gonna project the camera essentially. And I'm gonna extract this entire stuff to the project. So this one is gonna be final result that I want to return in here, and the actual point is this point. Right, so that's how we project. Well, we subtract point from the camera position, but we also add half of the window. Because of that, we'll have to pass the window though. Right, it needs to be passed in here because window size is incapable of doing it without this thing. All right, so let's give it a try. So because of that, the only thing I need in here is camera project point, and I'm projecting this kind of stuff, and I can remove this kind of stuff. There we go. So it's a little bit weird, but I guess it's okay. So camera project this thing, and then we're rendering the cursor. To be fair, rendering the cursor, like extracting it to a separate thing, kind of creates a lot of issues in here. Probably not, but I will need to definitely pass the window in here. Right, so here's the position, and I want to do camera project on it. Camera project point window. It's gonna be like that. All right, so camera project point, and let me see how it's gonna fail. Syntactical shit. Camera project point defined too early. Might as well move this entire stuff a little bit up there. All right, semicolons, sure. Anything else? Window size redefinition, previous redefinition. Okay, so that means I need to remove that one and that one. Anything else? Incompatible type. Yeah, this one has to be a window. Has to be a window. Okay, perfect. So now it actually scrolls to the center. So this is our text editor. Yeah, that's the new way of editing the text, by the way. That's literally the new way of doing that. This is amazing, actually. I think, like, I wish it was a little bit faster. I think it should be a little bit snappier, if you know what I'm talking about. So where is the camera shit? So this is that. So this is the... So the velocity, we might as well actually multiply this kind of stuff by a sort of like a thing. Right, so multiply by vector fs, and let's actually increase the speed twice of this stuff. So it's gonna be twice as fast. That's very interesting. Okay, so it's twice as fast, and now we can try to, you know, create a new thing, right? So you start. This is so cool! Holy shit! This makes it look so fucking cool. I mean, it's kind of dizzying at the same time. I do realize that. So maybe we could actually snap the camera. Yeah. But it's so cool. I mean, there's something interesting in here. There's something interesting in here for sure. If you know what I'm talking about, right? And then, right, you can cut hello, and here it is, essentially. Yeah, this is really dramatic. This is the most dramatic text editor I've ever seen. Holy shit. I love it. I freaking love it. Okay, so, and you can open it back, right, if you want to edit something in there. Super dramatic. Int argc. Now we need to copy your particle thing from the game and spawn particles. Yeah. Yeah, you can probably also add particles in there, but it would be even cooler if we actually port this to OpenGL, right? If we implement like OpenGL renderer or something. But yeah, that's kind of cool. What's interesting is that you can actually move down there, but as soon as you start typing, right, it will actually snap in here, right? Because if you go too much to the right, it doesn't have enough space in there. You start typing in here, it jumps back. Alright, so I'm gonna actually leave it as it is, and then later we can explore what we can do with this kind of thing. Right, so... so... It's not gonna be the final thing, but yeah, at least for now. Scrolling. Okay, so scroll, and I'm gonna remove this entire thing. Implement very dramatic scrolling that makes you barf. Okay, is that how you spell barfing? I don't know, I don't speak English. So... I really like that. I think I should use this as oh, it's a... okay, thank you. I think we should use this as an opportunity to explore what you can do with the text editor. Let's actually not create like a boring ass normie editor. Let's actually create something interesting, like this. Let's just experiment with different concepts for the text editing. I think it's super fun, right? So if we're gonna have like a pretty dramatic camera stuff that moves around as you type, I think it's gonna be super cool because it does in fact has this wow effect, right? Especially as you like type for the first time, right? So you type for the first time and it's just like, holy fucking shit, what the fuck? And especially if you will be able to zoom in and zoom out. What if we actually implement that with like, yeah, and also auto zoom in? Oh my god, there's so many cool ideas we can actually have, oh my god. Alright, so like some sort of like a smart camera shit. Yeah, I like that. I freaking like that. Boomer technology. Alright, so let's make a pull request. Implement very dramatic. Makes you... oh, god damn it. Amend. How do I amend? Yeah, this is how I amend. makes you barf, and I'm gonna force push yet again. This is the second force push of today. Oh, I realized what you mean by boomer technology. Yeah. So for those who doesn't know, we have an application which is called Boomer, which is the zoomer. So you probably saw me doing this kind of stuff, right? So yeah. So we have a special algorithm to zoom in and zoom out and stuff like that. Yeah. Boomer technologies. All right. So yeah. I guess I'm gonna call it a day. So I think today was a pretty interesting stream. We came up with a pretty cool idea. And I think I'm gonna call it a day, boys and girls. I think I'm gonna call it a day. Thanks everyone who's watching me right now. I really appreciate it. Have a good one, and I see you all next time. Make sure to follow this channel to get notified when I'm go live. Also check out the VODs channel where I upload all of the VODs. So to stay updated on what's going on with the development and stuff like that. And let's maybe rate somebody, because we got rated by Dennis, so maybe we should give back to the Twitch community and rate somebody as well. Does anyone know any interesting channels that we could rate? Is anyone streaming anything interesting on the science and technology section of Twitch? I wish Twitch would load up a little bit faster, but it is what it is. Balls and hot tubs. Hot tub programming, am I right? So view on code. C++, but I don't see in English. Unity, Blender, game dev. Synth in C. Is it English? I think I know this channel. I actually knew about it a long time ago. He speaks English. Oh, I remember this channel. Yeah, he does speak English. Okay, so it's actually rhythm. Because we've been doing C as well. English and Korean. Nice. Cool guy. Okay. Okay, so raid. Alright, boys and girls, get ready for the raid. Get ready for the raid, and I see you all next time. Love you all.